The original club of North London against the resurgent force of the North. Our final taste of Gallagher PREM action before breaking for the Six Nations. Charlie Bracken, real coming-of-age season for him, but he's shown his... Oh, goodness me, getting underneath that. Saracens then gift it to Tom Christie. Real mayhem from the slice box.
When if there's one thing that Newcastle will certainly be licking their lips about, that's the draft that we find here today at StoneX Stadium.
Just inside, guys.
And it's an ability to manage these conditions. Charlie Bracken not quite getting his kick on point there, just went straight up in the air.
Just inside, yeah.
And Saracens compounding that error. But it's properly breezy here in North London.
Timing, stability.
An indication through the first. A little more housekeeping as well. You're going to notice this, that Theo McFarland has injured a rib in the warm-up, so he's not on the edge. That's Andy Onyema Christie, but on the other side is the Argentinian Juan Martin Gonzalez, and I mean, such is the lateness of the change that he's still wearing 20 on his back, Juan Martin Gonzalez. So Nathan Michelow has been drafted onto the bench, who, remember, got a 20-minute red card at Kingston Park for, well, it was a gruesome challenge on George McGuigan. I couldn't tell you what number he's actually going to put on, seeing as Juan has taken the 20, but we'll update you when it comes in.
Set! Yes, please.
Bracken goes open to Farrell in the 10 jersey for the first time in a month, and Lazowski asks questions of Ethan Grayson, puts the footwork on Caluori, and finally we're into a bit of rhythm of the game. Oscar Usher just takes his eye off the ball. The press from Tizard is opposite second row, just forcing him to cough up the error, and Onyema Christie offloads out the tackle. Saracens in the groove. Ezekwe, the ball just dies off the fingertips, and Hurl might burst free. Hurl, scorer at Kingston Park, going all the way to the 22. And it is a crazy harem-scarum start to the day, and Elliot Obatoyimbo, oh, so close to scoring against his old club. Usher, the man who coughed up the ball moments ago, profits from his error further down the field. A helter-skelter start, and the Red Bulls stampeding to the line within 3 minutes at the StoneX.
Well, look at what's going on. That's exactly what Newcastle will want to try and do. Ruffle the feathers of these Saracens. Just as advantage over was called, the ball hit the deck. I actually thought Alex Hurl was going to get all the way.
Walk away.
They did brilliantly to recycle the ball, and then Obatoyimbo, his eyes would have lit up as he saw Jamie George on the edge. Not doing the hooker any disservice there, and then a good ability to twist and wriggle through that contact area.
It's all good, Jake.
I want to find this young lad, 21 years old.
Look about 10.
Studying business management at Northumbria University at the moment. He's, well, it's a first in professional rugby at the moment here. Player of the match the other day, now a try against Saracens.
Oscar Usher, and the conversion scored by number 10, Brett Connor.
When you've got someone that big, coming that hard at the line, that close, really difficult to stop him, and it's a brilliant start for Alan Dickens' men.
Use it.
Simon Benitez Cruz, who has had a seismic impact since arriving from Argentina. Tries, tempo, and authority too. Tompkins made hay when these two played up north in the season opener. Gonzalez ignored. Daly bringing in Caluori, who meets his match in Grayson, but has the strength to ride free. Then he gets his pocket picked, and is Lockwood going to go all the way? One-on-one with Farrell. Farrell gets his man. Benitez Cruz just holds on. There's so many yellow jerseys. Red Bulls have to score. Hurl dances inside, backs himself. Christie on the shoulder. Sarries shell-shocked. But has Christie flirted with that back line too closely?
Understood.
Well, it's an extraordinary start here in North London, and probably not one that everyone attending or watching would have expected, but this is going to be extremely close. Tom Christie, as you say,
Okay, understood,
Joe,
Joe.
flirting incredibly
We're trying to have a grounding. We're just
with the back of that dead ball
Checking
area.
the try line on the dead ball line, yep.
Just get their ball down, lad. Oh, he's in touch. His foot has gone over the back of the dead ball area. Just, you can understand why he's trying to get it closer, but he's in touch there. I think if you freeze it,
Just wait with us.
when his foot's on the line,
Understood.
You need to see where this ball, when it's grounded.
Okay, I have a decision for you. His foot is in touch before the ball is grounded.
A finish that will make Tom Christie feel sick.
The player is dead in goal when he grounds the ball. There's no try.
Tom Christie's first reaction, hands on head, he knows exactly how important that could be. Everyone has a moment like that in their career, and as you say, right now he'll be sick to the pit of his stomach. Horrible error. He won't make it again, I'll tell you that.
But all credit to Charlie Bracken. Never giving up, and Lockwood, who's already got a good 60 metres or so to his game stats, goes through a bit more heavy traffic. Advantage here for Red Bulls, who really started at a zip.
That means now on the bench, number 18 is
Murray
Harvey Beaton,
McCallum,
and number 20
huge
Nathan
man.
Mitchell.
Lovely soft hands. Wade injecting himself into the play, and Obotoyimbo this time cropping up on his left wing. Usher the try scorer. And Conant trying to catch Roti Shegan out, but no joy.
You can see the effect of the wind.
Well, it's set up very nicely indeed. A member's bounce for Rotimi Shegan, and Sarries now building in the Red Bulls half. Daly just accelerates, but for a shoelace tackle from Freddie Lockwood. Farrell picks out Reece Carrier, another huge human. And Newcastle can't resist with him on the floor.
That's the difference that the plastic pitch will make, but also you can see the effect of the wind on the ball. Conant going for a massive 50-20. Shegan taking it quickly, the ball sat up, and then off the plastic field, you've just got to chase, because it can go anywhere. But Newcastle ultimately find themselves way back, right on their own 5-metre line.
Nick Ezekwe, omitted from Steve Borthwick's Six Nations squad, claims cleanly in the middle. And Newcastle and Murray McCallum adjust their bind, so Sarries will probably have another go at this.
Initially fine, but then you change your mind.
And there he is. 18 months for people to say nice things about Jamie George. He's signposted the end to a glittering Saracens career, and he finds the Puma. Juan Martin Gonzalez, ball inside to Shegan, who looks to pirouette. But Newcastle wise, they slam the door. More indiscretions. compounding on the Newcastle line. Willis, wow, was that knocked down by Benitez Cruz?
Understood.
This could be a card, the colour of the jersey.
Dean, we're coming up to you. So we're under penalty advantage here for the man not releasing the goal line. So we just want to check if this is deliberate or wrong.
Yep.
Deliberate, and we're looking at penalty tries.
Okay, we're just going to show you a wide angle.
Just a wide angle.
It's just unravelled massively in the past 2 minutes for Newcastle. 3 penalties close to their own line.
Here it comes, Joe.
And then what is going to be a horrible moment for Benitez Cruz. He's going to spend a bit of time, hopefully out of the cold, but on the touchline. Cesar would have walked in.
Goodness me. The error of Tom Christie minutes ago in the act of scoring echoes all the way to the Newcastle Red Bulls try line. A man down, and Sarri's now level with a penalty try.
I think Newcastle forgot that because it's a penalty try, it's straight back to the centre of the field. They're all waiting for the conversion to be taken. Maybe just trying to reset themselves mentally.
And we've spoken, well, you know, many have spoken about the youth that is sort of coursing through this Newcastle side. We've seen the try from Oscar Russia, but it's two of the most experienced internationals among them who've landed them in this position. Tom Christie and Simon Benitez Cruz.
Well, the game has a nasty ability to make you learn at every stage of your career, so there's never a game where you can just take anything for granted, and Christie and Benitez Cruz just showing those young lads that they can all make mistakes. Quite nice of them.
Your man's pinned in, the ball's available here. Let it go. 2 players lying on top of him.
Well, Bracken this time does master the breeze. It's going to sit beautifully for an arrival with a shoulder on Ethan Grayson, who has performed in exemplary fashion at fullback this season. Used as a 10 or a 12 in Europe, but fullback very much his birth in the Gallagher PREM.
No.
So Conan, and the absence of the Puma.
Just talking as someone that has done that horrendous role of the 9's gone, you get in there for the next 10 minutes. That is a horrific job that Brett Conan has to do right now, because it's a completely different style of fitness. Yes, he has the kicking game, as he's just shown there, because that's a brilliant box kick. But this is a different game altogether now for the fly half come scrum half.
Keep retreating. Number 1, keep retreating.
Farrell fancies this. Releases Daly, and you can just see the ball being held up in that win. Conan doing the work of 2 men right now, and that is an outstanding touch finder. And Farrell almost throws in a little long for himself. There's a bit of acceleration in those old legs. Ooh, that is right on the margin. And I think that's what Owen Farrell was saying to referee Joe James there.
He definitely had an opinion that there was nothing wrong with it, but I think Sammy Arnold might have taken another opportunity to just explain a couple of things to Owen Farrell. To me, that looks all right.
That's a beauty.
Sammy Arnold straight in the ear.
Would you have him in the England squad right now, Tom?
He certainly gives his rigidity to a back line, his knowledge of the game, his ability to manage it. But I think, I don't know, in terms of an England back line in the midfield, he's not going to feature in my centres. I wouldn't have thought if I was choosing, but could do it 10.
Sammy Arnold, there's the abrasive nature of the Irishman. Jamie Hodgson, the Scotsman. Conan takes the reins at the base. Obatoyimbo sits Bracken down. Christie could have done with a bit of that biff. And And it's
Okay, tackle.
muscular
Let it come. Ball's there.
forward work from Richard Palfreman.
You can see what Newcastle are trying to do. They're just going from one side to the other, and it's actually just chewing up the clock. They're going through the phases. They can't look to try and stretch the field too much.
But now they look to expand. Arnold back into a heavy shoulder from Hugh Tizard.
The ball was clearly out.
Well, Connon demonstrating his naivety as a scrum half, understandably, and Willis wise to it. Newcastle, though, remain in possession. Connon, I think with a tired pack, will now go to the skies.
It's another good kick. Great kick for his chasers as well.
Elliot Daly swallowed by Arnold. Really good chase and stick. Juan Martin Gonzalez to Lazowski. Alex Hurl's there. Hurl crowbars it from the hands of his opposite man. Newcastle really dominating these contact areas at the moment. Not the first time a Saracen has been stripped, but take some of that.
Well, I think it was Freddie Lockwood. He's the man that Newcastle want carrying the ball, but
Backwards for me.
Absolute chaos in the Saracens 22, and just can't quite scoop and score.
I thought he's going to have a swig of that guy's beer then. He didn't, but this is bedlam. All sorts going on. Not often you see 2 or 3 balls just reefed from a team's possession.
No time for replays. No time to blink.
Well, there's not enough people setting. Okay, they went in the channel, so we'll just do it again. Saracens.
And Joe James tries to put a steady hand on the tiller.
There was a good word used in that sentence. I think it was mess.
Same call, boys.
Tizard.
Let's have a look at this here.
Big ball carrier. What do you got? Not as much as me. To be fair, he was ably assisted by TT Tuamanga.
Yeah, it's still off. Yeah. Going on?
I think Charlie Bracken's luck was bound to run out at some stage after 2 questionable non-knock-ons.
Well, he got one in his favour with Tom Christie, didn't he?
You're okay.
There was one against him.
Yeah, he's been talking. He's talking about he's buzzing to get back out on the pitch. First start in a while, but
Time on.
every game, every competition, bar round 3 of the Prem Cup for the man who turned 22 just last month. So they're building him up. He's certainly a name in Saracens' future.
Yes, please.
And he's getting a real test with Gale in his face in the first half. Finds good safety in the touchline and a bit of a chance of both sides to sort of reset and settle a little.
Yeah, the past few minutes fairly crazy from both teams. Different style of management for them both as well. Saracens, because they're going to struggle with the wind, they're going to have to get as many people onto their feet to offer themselves up to carry the ball into contact. Newcastle, they've just got that option to kick always up their sleeve.
Ambitiously to the tail, there's no competition, so the lift on Lockwood is good. And then Christian Wade looks to power through using those NFL running skills. But now in the hands of Saracens, neither side cherishing possession. Rotimi Shegan gets another bounce that can only fall into the grip of a Saracens man through and through. This helter-skelter match finds another twist, another turn, and another try for Roti Shegan at the Stonex.
Well, it's a brilliant bit of skill from Shegan. Took the ball close to the line. It's a brilliant chip kick. Yes, it might have sat up slightly in the wind and off the pitch, but you've got to put yourselves in the position. And that's a brilliant piece of skill and awareness of where the space is, and as soon as he catches that ball, well, it's a vague attempt by Roberto Imbo, but really he's just shutting down the space. Look at the acceleration. Great score from Saracens.
Always good.
Farrell from out wide. Does what Farrell does, maximises the Skegan effort, and just like that, Newcastle trail by 7.
And that's what both these teams have threatened already in these opening 17 minutes. If they get an opportunity from deep, they're not shy to go, and both of them have the capability of making big attacking dents from depth. Great exciting game for us both.
And, well, they're the successor. Brendan Fenter, he's looking in good nick, isn't he? We're remarking on that.
Well, he looks like he's come from slightly warmer climes than Mark McCall. Bit of a tan on him.
The Cape Town tan versus the Hendon towel in full Technicolor.
It just gives a bit of fluidity, doesn't it, to any sort of changeover that Saracens will experience when McCall steps aside.
So Saracens, despite the late changes and disruption to their starting lineup,
It's a knock-on from Saracens on that
and
kickoff.
playing into the wind, find themselves with the lead. Hurl gets wrapped up by Caluori, who zeroed in on him from some range.
No. Rocks forward. Good choice.
Oh, no one there for Murray McCallum.
Not sure he wanted that either. Did well to just buy time, carry the ball into contact.
Andy, when you're that size and you're all alone in the middle of the park, Bracken watches it well. Daly looking to add to his England caps. Near Six Nations. Lazowski's hands, not a match for the chicken wing of Daly.
Joe,
Right
can you
idea,
hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, fine, okay.
but it was just not quite
Okay.
the execution of the offload that Elliot Daly would have wanted.
Returning from the
Probably would have expected his
Newcastle Red
quality
Bulls,
player.
number 9, Simon Benitez Cruz.
Benitez Cruz back onto the field, and it's a compliment and a testament to Newcastle that you didn't feel that they were playing with 14 were it not for the brilliance of Skegan there. They've navigated that very, very well.
They just narrowed the game, didn't they? Took the breakdown, took the contact. The easier options, didn't go through too many passes, didn't stretch the game. Yeah, you're right. That's a good period of play. Apart from the moment of brilliance, and at times you just got to hold your hand up, haven't you, and just say well played to the opposition.
And straight in to his modus operandi. Tap, go, tempo, and Obotoyimbo with some elusive feet. Oh, tight hands. It's another thunderous shot from the Samoan Tuimanga, who is grasping his first start with some destructive relish.
Goes forward in the tackle.
Just a little nod, a little wry smile.
I think we could probably need
He's
a little
ready
bit
for
more
that
of
all day.
Control the through ball, yeah. And then we take
You
it.
can get one
Let's go.
on one of your opposite props. I mean, imagine, just imagine getting hit at full tilt by that guy. Thanks.
Coach!
Difficult area to defend for Newcastle. Can't put too much line speed on. It's a centre field scrum for Saracens. Opens up both kicking options with Daly a left foot, Farrell a right.
Yes, please. Down over the
Short side on, seemingly for Saracens. Tompkins, Skegan drops it on the toe again, and well, deemed to be
15.
a tackle off the ball.
Tackle off the ball. Number 14, tackle off the ball.
So a penalty for the challenge from Christian Wade. What do you reckon, Tom?
It's just a bit lazy from Christian Wade. Doesn't need to do it. I can understand why he did do it, but anytime you hit someone and then you put your hand out, it sort of gives the game away. What a player he is, though, to have in their ranks.
And he's back at it. Tries in the Challenge Cup, none in the Prem so far. 9 off from overtaking Chris Ashton. Here comes Skegan. He doesn't mind a try himself. Juan Martin Gonzalez. What a player to bring in late to the game. And in tandem with the rest of his back row, Rhys Carre, the Welshman, rejuvenated by the Tandy. Tenya and Christie just pounces, the precision on that turnover.
Well, that's exactly why they brought him in, Newcastle. His ability to choose which breakdown to poach. He did that with such ease. Really quality stuff from Tom Christie. Maybe a bit more of what we're used to seeing from him as opposed to him scoring tries maybe, but watch this. Look how quickly he gets in onto that ball. Impossible for Jamie George to get rid of him or beat him to the getting hands on the ball.
Here's the first high-profile signing after the Red Bulls took the reins, and goodness me, are they gathering pace? We'll get into that in some time. With the checkbook, with the contract and the pen. And Rhys Carre does just that, carries with intent. Farrell, Lozowski. Holes seeming to form now in this Newcastle defence. Is there a sense of a wolf pack? Smelling Geordie blood here. Oyama Christie, hop, skip from the Scotsman. Now some width. Farrell brings in Tompkins. Battered back. Double hits arriving from the Red Bulls. Oyama Christie threatening every time he has the ball in his hands. Lozowski lifts it into the path of Ezekwe. Pressure building. How has Daly got that away? And surely the long levers of Caluori haven't done it. This kid just cannot stop scoring.
Well, if he has scored this, Caluori scored it, but it's all about Elliot Daly. This is brilliant, because Newcastle's defence was in no panic at all. They're back on their feet, there was no space. But he's threaded that ball through, clearly onside, and then we're just going to have to see the reverse angle to see whether he's got the hands on the ball. This will be the one. But nothing on. And then create space when there isn't any. What a score that is. The last two scores from Saracens, just brilliance.
That's good. Good try is good.
Well, there's no shortage of confidence when it comes to Noah Caluori. Nor that man. In fact, it's hallmarked his career, but Caluori has already spoken of his ambition to get capped by England at senior level this year. He wants to be one of the all-time greats, in his words. He's making a handy little start to that journey, isn't he?
Well, look, as a winger, there's 2 or 3 things you're judged on. Top of that list is how many times you dot the ball down. And if he continues to do that, and continues to put his hand up, then actually you're in control of your own destination and where you want to go. I'll get the words out.
Destiny?
Yeah, whatever it was.
Try number 12.
It's the cold.
All competitions, all clubs. And I say all clubs because there's one for Ampthill there in the championship as well. Scoring for the mob as well as the Wolfpack. And Newcastle from a position of what felt like real prominence early in the half, suddenly find themselves staring down the barrel of a 14-point deficit.
Well, if they had gone 14-0 up, how does the game change? Because obviously the consequences of that moment lead to the position that they find themselves in now.
Better patience on that last set.
But I think as a team, and that guy will be in everyone's ear, you know, there's 2 moments of brilliance, as I said, and actually sometimes you just got to go, we're doing all right. We're getting in right positions. We've got to maintain the ability to apply pressure deep in Saracens' territory. And then when those opportunities do get presented, take them.
Too close. Take a step apart,
and maybe
please.
when he says it, they roll their eyes at him because it was him that didn't take it. But we'll let him off now. I won't mention it again.
He's got a good turnover 5 metres out. It's all forgotten.
Bind. Set. Yeah, let's go.
Concrete platform. Arnold fizzes it to Wade, drops the anchors and then drops the ball.
I haven't got eyes in the back of my head, Aaron, I didn't see him.
Bit clunky in attack. It's really difficult for Sammy Arnold to take the ball that flat and then pass the ball, because he's almost had to put the brakes on, which give him the balance to make that long pass. But Christian Wade would have expected to gain more momentum from that position.
35 in May, Christian Wade. Does he get the record? Does he get there?
Well,
Bind.
I think he does.
Set.
Chris Ashton was saying no, he's got no chance.
Well,
Yes, please, 9.
scored a fair chunk of his tries on this very ground. We're not ruling out Christian Wade in eating into it. Tell you what, Noah Caluori might have eyes on it at the tender age of 19. Carey out the back, rides the challenge. Daly not used, Lazowski instead. So many playmakers and passes in this Saracens backline. Here's the main one. Farrell teeing it up for the boulder that is Rhys Carey. Juan Martin Gonzalez, the decoy on this occasion. Elliot Daly looks so silky and composed right now. Hint of a jackal from Tom Gordon. And Lockwood barrels away. He's having a big game, isn't he?
Well, every time I've seen him play, he's had a good game. He's a handful physically. There's Roberto Imbo and Caluori going at it on this near touchline.
Well, and play's developing, and Shegan has no one at home, but Wade turns him inside out, powers on through, and just as he did at Kingston Park, Andy Oyama Christie gets in on the try-scoring act and brings up the bonus.
Well, again, it's Shegan that's central to that. He's having a really good time of it on that far side. Pace and ability to get the ball out of contact and into that man's hands. He's pretty calm about the whole situation, doesn't he? And a real swing in the way that this game is being played out. Newcastle right
we're
now,
struggling to get an angle here. We're trying to find it. No, let him kick and then we'll just hold on.
Well, finally, the win causes fault in Farrell's kicking. No extras.
The score, Saracens 26.
Is that a knock-on from Ezekwe?
It looks like it. Let's see.
Don't underestimate how difficult that is, by the way, by Shegan. Ridden 2 tackles and then got his left hand out the back. That's it.
Yeah, it's a knock-on. Sorry about that, Joe. Sorry, it was slow.
I mean, look at this offload from Ezekwe. It is a knock-on, but we can celebrate this offload as he rolls onto the deck.
No try. There's a double knock-on. The first one
Backwards
goal.
over his head, one-handed. He knew it as well, didn't he? Damn, he spotted it.
It's one of the more high-profile omissions from the Six Nations squad. We mentioned about Owen Farrell not being there, Caluori not there, even having trained with England, but he's sort of been a bit of a mainstay, Nick Ezekwe, over a number of coaches' tenures as well.
Yeah, but England's loss maybe is Saracens' gain, keeping him on training, keeping him within their teams all the time is so beneficial to them, to have someone like that of his quality that just stays with the club all the time, sets those standards.
And hunger as well, hunger to perform, to get back in.
Yes, please.
Daly Picking out Caluori, who picks a sumptuous angle. Noah Caluori with the flying finish. He's got a brace, and Saracens are running away with it now.
Watch Ethan Grayson here, flies up out the line. He's not watching Caluori, he's watching the ball all the time. So at the last minute when he picks his head up, Caluori's already changed his line, and then you're in an impossible situation where actually it just looks like you're defending no one. Maybe he is coming for Chris Ashton, certainly copying a try celebration.
Curled in delightfully from out on the edge. Saracens 28, Newcastle Red Bulls 7.
So it's a look inside from Farrell first. And then that defensive error, individual error from Grayson just opened up that space, but it's a brilliant try all the same from Caluori.
Okay, use please. Off goal.
Newcastle simply must respond. 7 minutes or so with which to do it. But the Wolfpack are roaring through. Conan all alone in that backfield. But the Carlisle man shows composure. Slightly skewed from Grayson, and on this occasion Farrell will let it trickle out and we'll have the line out.
Well, Newcastle have been slugged on the end of the nose for the past 15-20 minutes and have been really costly sucker punches. They've just got to manage this mentally. Can't just tap out of the game. They have to stay in the fight, believe that they can remain in the game.
Thank you. Use it.
Obatoyimbo, fresh from his fend, courtesy of the man who he slips on this occasion. Juan Martin Gonzalez has less appetite for being shirked. Conan tests the laces of Elliot Daly. A light touch for the once footballer. Whoa, that's a hit. But Juan Martin Gonzalez is as tough as it comes. Caluori somehow manages to pinch that out of two sets of Red Bull hands. Tipped on, Saracens are enjoying themselves. Lazowski, weapons either side, but goes to the boot.
Multiple players. Multiple players never made it back on side.
Well, that's ridiculous from that man. He's climbed above about 8 other people. Go gadget arms. Reclaiming possession. Really important off little kicks like that you do manage to get the ball back. Otherwise it just turns the ball over so easily. You work hard to gather possession. You can't just give it back to someone. Look at his ability to just catch the ball high above his head, AFL style. That said, he did a little old George McGuigan underneath him. Little old, so.
Saracens back into the Newcastle 22, where they have been ruthless. And all of this, quite literally, in the face of the wind. They'll have it behind their backs come the second 40. And you wonder how much damage they can do with that wind assist. Farrell fancies it himself. Connon gets dragged along for the ride. Onyama Christie denied a try moments ago. Really good defence from McGuigan to chop away the legs of Ezekwe. Farrell demands it, commands it. Jamie George, haven't said his name too much in attack, but scoops it up to Bracken. Onyama Christie, very busy performance from the open side. Shegan being brought back into the equation. Obatoy Imbo clattered again. But offside and more penalty pressure mounting on Newcastle. Well, why not? Newcastle asleep and not from the mark.
So what I can like about that,
You can go now.
Caluori, are they going to go quickly? Caluori actually found himself on the far touchline. He's not just content to just sit in his own channel. He's working hard to try and get his hands on the ball, wherever it might be. Well, when you're going to retire, I'll start taking the kicks to touch, thank you very much.
Well, our focus was on Noah Caluori. Jamie George that matters into his own hands and found touch 5 metres out. Gonzalez gives it to the man who just prodded that off the laces to put them in position A. More advantage for Saracens. You feel there could be another yellow coming Newcastle's way. Lazowski invents an avenue back into the hands of his teammates, but the double blast means surely at least a warning.
Early at the line out. Man still in the air.
Well, it's not a final warning, Tom.
It's not a final warning, but it's definitive.
George this time out the back door to Tizard, who gets thumped by Usher. Writhing forward goes the Puma. Red Bull arms locked on. No penalty coming. And Newcastle must put their shoulder to the wheel once more. Juan Martin Gonzalez targets Obatoy Imbo. Inches. Willis. Well, they all got a bit pedestrian. But now it'll be Carey. Even he can't make it. Newcastle defending as if their lives depend on it. Surely Saracens will batter down this door soon. More red jerseys cluster within 10. Farrell to Daly, frees the hands. Shegan had to watch it carefully, then puts the footwork on, explodes into the rear guard.
No, it doesn't go.
And somehow Saracens still can't score.
Number 11 offside.
Obatoy Imbo offside, and he's going to the bin, I think.
Agreed.
11 offside. Multiple in this area of the field. Hold on, the man's gonna.
I think he's probably feeling pretty hard done by, but I think it's the number of penalties that Newcastle have given away within 5-6 metres of their own line that's really cost him.
Right, what's he got now? Kick to touch, out the back. Now it's just a tip to Tuimanga. Reese Carey barnstorming almost to the line. Scrabbling, reaching. Still Saracens denied. An ominous pack of wolves on the Red Bulls line. One more surge. Still Newcastle won't let them through. Bracken goes to Farrell, to Daly, who fluffs his lines. And Newcastle have survived the onslaught.
Well, that's as good as going down the other end and taking 7 points. That's an unbelievable effort from the Red Bulls. Bodies on the line. Don't underestimate how difficult it is to keep a 19-stone bloke who's 2 inches off the floor driving towards the line. And then Elliot Daly, almost too much time to catch the ball, with just a glimpse of Christian Wade hunting him down.
He's looked the most composed man on the field at times, collecting balls at the back, but also acting as a second or third playmaker when you put Lazowski into the mix. But on that occasion, trademark composure deserting him.
Come! Bind! Set!
Last play of the half. And Saracens going straight down, potentially to Imanga, who's had a fine start to life as a starter in Sarri's colours. And Newcastle and Brett Connon say they want to play. They need to use this win for all it's worth one last time, and that is as big a chunk of the touchline as Brett Connon could have possibly chewed off.
Yeah, we'll get
an inch further, and that was still in play, wasn't it? And Saracens would have been off. Great kick from Brett Connon, and now a platform to launch from. Shot to nothing for Newcastle. They defended valiantly for the past 5 or 6 minutes. Now what can they throw into the mix from an attacking perspective?
Well, there's the disconnect. It's a long time since Newcastle have had ball in hand. So Sammy Arnold warms up the legs by barrelling in to a Saracens defender. Wade, is there enough fractured field for him to flourish? Beautiful ball over the top to Grayson, and Caluori shows he can do it both sides of the ball. Wade working hard, manhandled by his former Wasps teammate.
There's a knock on in the tackle, and that's half time.
And that'll be the last action, and it's a passage that rather sums up a crazy half of rugby. One that started with Newcastle Red Bulls at a lick, the quickest of scores. A bonus point in the bag for Sarries. For Newcastle, a 21-point comeback mountain to climb in the second half. And almost as a carbon copy of how the first half kicked off, Benitez Cruz will shape to box, but unlike Charlie Bracken, who got under his effort,
use it.
He takes a different angle with a setup from one of the pack, and he drives it flat. And Saracens and Jamie George will launch from the line out.
Well, Newcastle have to draw confidence from that defensive display that they showed towards the latter stages of that first half. Really resilient in that area, and they need to show that right now.
Uncompromising defence from Tom Gordon. Oh, it's a beautiful wraparound play. We're seeing these more and more from Gensch to George. The England front row beginning to master that bit of deception. Oh, it's incredible from Willis. And now, Onyema Christie will get his score. Saracens will get their fifth, and they are beginning to run riot here.
Well, we talked about the resilience of Newcastle's defence. It just evaporated there. As soon as the ball is in Tom Willis's hand, we've seen the damage that he can do when he carries. But that's 1, 2, 3 big carries, 4, 5, and he still gets the ball away. A bit of a juggle from Onyema Christie, but Newcastle have to do better than that defensively. Yes, he's a difficult man to put down, and he's pumping his legs and he's trying to swat everyone he can out of the way, but that should be bread and butter.
Conversion scored by number 10, Owen Farrell.
2 easy points for Owen Farrell.
Owen is sponsored by Nigel
and Willis's defenders beaten stats are off the reservation this season. There's a chasm between him and the next man, and that is why.
Well, yeah, he's just gone even further ahead, hasn't he? Because that is extraordinary strength from Tom Willis. I just like the way he's always pumping his legs, always changing where his body position is, which means it is difficult to try and get him down, but all the same.
Here he goes again, winding up. Another defender for the statisticians. I mean, he is tens ahead of the next man, who is Edo Todoro of Northampton, and he's just going to be a massive loss to Saracens. And Steve Borthwick must be watching a game like this through his fingers, thinking, why Bordeaux?
Because he's not been picked time and time again. He's probably frustrated with the situation. I imagine his bank balance will look half decent at the end of each month as well. But if you think about where the carries are being made as well, Joe, right up the middle for Tom Willis. Todoro, a lot more space on those outer channels for him to carry.
Oh, it's beginning to look ugly for the Red Bulls. Shegan, there was a tug on Christian Wade's jersey. And it's all hands to the pump in the Red Bulls 22. And Joe James's arm in the way of Saracens. But now they just want to play. Every Saracen wants the ball in their hands. Caluori for a hat-trick.
All good.
Saracens, new starlet, delivering at the StoneX once again in spades.
Well, it's a brilliant hat-trick for Caluori. But really, this is all about the transition from the moment the penalty was given and the breakdown. It's Jamie George again. He's desperate to get, I mean, God knows how many touches he's going to get on the ball if he's got this appetite for the next 18 months. But that wide pass from Owen Farrell's brilliant. And then look at the pace with which Tompkins attacks the line. And that's bread and butter, isn't it? It's easy for Caluori at that point.
Well, the location of the finish makes it life too difficult for Farrell, so no longer flawless. But here comes finish number 3.
One wide pass, 2 wide passes, that just moves the point of attack when actually the majority of Newcastle's defenders are rooted in and around the breakdown. Look out Chris Ashton, look out Christian Wade.
Noah Caluori is now 90 tries away from Chris Ashton's record.
We'll get there next month.
And he's only played 7 Premiership matches. It was the famous 5 against Sale. Will we see a repeat of the feat? Daly orchestrating things, but on this occasion, his home plastic, I was going to say lets him down, but quite the opposite.
That is a home bounce if ever I know. I mean, that's kicked on at some pace and then it's basically gone in reverse. Backspin.
Good, let's go.
Newcastle Red Bulls, for the second time in the match, seeing out a sin bin period and seeing out an onslaught from Saracens. Oh, there's violence in that carry from Tom Willis. Hugh Tizard shows a deftness as he powers into the Newcastle defensive line. George, dummies, dishes, back on, gets the pass cut out. Everyone wanted that miss to stick.
Imagine the pressure that Jamie George must have been on for the last number of years if he's going to play like this for the last 18 months. It's ridiculous. He's trying everything. Chicken wings, kicking, out the back door.
Use it.
Well, Caluori thought about going quick, but he rightly gives it to his playmaker in chief, Jamie George.
Time off, subs, lads, subs.
Probably throw it in left-handed next.
Go old school, French. Obertoy Imbo back onto the field, and Murray McCallum making way for Adam Brocklebank. Good news for Red Bulls, him putting pen to paper on a contract extension. 157 appearance man, Wade, is going to get called back.
Tell you what, one man that was glad he got called back, and he's going to go and tell him as well, that was Owen Farrell. He got absolutely rinsed there by Christian Reid. 35, but he's got proper pace on him still. Good ball, good flat ball. And look at this. Oh, yeah, completely done. Farrell's lucky his ankles are still in pieces.
I think he would say that was Shegan's man.
Yeah, I heard the referee call it.
Powerful scrum, and an even more powerful beast swatting away Red Bulls with disdain. George, first receiver, of course he is. And Ezekwe arrives to cause a dent. Farrell takes his eye off the ball. The way Saracens' afternoon's going, it's going to work out. Caluori on the scene, ball bouncing around, and eventually the whistle gets blown.
Well, my maths is never that great, but Tom Willis, I've counted, in the past 3 carries has beaten 10 defenders, which is extraordinary. Never quite carries. Well, of course he does, he carries through the line, but he's constantly trying to change his angle, use his body to try and create space, use those, well, quite substantial limbs that are hanging off his upper body to create space for himself to get through that contact and then recycle the ball or make a brilliant offload.
He turned 27 last Sunday. I mean, that's the age you come into your prime as a back rower, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, and you look at the way that Bordeaux play the game, they're going to be absolutely licking their lips.
Oh, Lazowski, he had to read, he didn't have the hands.
Deliberate knock on, isn't it? Try at the other end.
Was there cover in the backfield? Well, Lazowski won't be involved in the Six Nations. Just withdrew himself from selection last year. He's spoken openly about what he described as the mental turmoil of being overlooked consistently, and you know how for a number of years, despite so much success in that jersey, sort of felt he was lacking the validation of international honours. But he's a class act to have in any squad, isn't he?
He's an incredible player, and it's a really brave stance to make, because I completely get that turmoil that you find yourself in. I've experienced it myself, and you really go to town on yourself, and you struggle with your mental health, I guess, which wasn't really talked about back when I was playing, but actually your belief in yourself and your happiness in and around the game can evaporate at times. So, you know, players play their best when they're happy, when they're enjoying themselves, when they're doing what they love doing. And if you're not loving what you're doing, you do have to question why you're doing it. So it's a brave stance for him to take, and you know, Saracens will no doubt be the beneficiaries of that when Lazowski gets probably more time on the field, but also back to the levels that we know he can reach.
Oh, Red Bulls just looking to spark some sort of resurgence, but it's just not happening for them. There's Harvey Beaton, who about 3 minutes before kickoff wasn't playing today, but he's on for his second Premiership appearance of the season, his other, a start against Newcastle.
Yeah, you're in the way.
He's been keeping his scrummaging prowess warm in the colours of Amptilt in the Championship. Or the Champ, rather. Well, Newcastle are hemorrhaging penalties now in all facets of the game. It's the pressure they're under. It's the problems they're trying to solve as Aroni Mai, the other replacement prop, been involved every Premiership game comes on. You lose a Samoan international, you gain a Fiji, and that's the depth of class at Saracens' disposal. That is a terror of a grubber that Grayson does just about gather.
Number 5,
but more penalty advantage.
On the player.
Horrible ball for Grayson to try and retrieve. Great kick from Saracens' perspective, but
number 5 thrown across.
That was like old school long barrier from Ethan Grayson down on the boundary.
It's pretty clear. If he comes down and lands on the player,
knee down, get your hands in front of the ball. But when it's bobbling around like that, that is horrible.
We don't have the luxury of a sort of stats machine with us today, but I mean the penalty count is exorbitant for Newcastle. James Hadfield, his first throw of the match, finds Nick Ezekwe safely. Jamie George, the magician, has left the field. And James Hadfield, right now, looks like he might get the retiring greats try this afternoon. More ballast arrives in red and black, and Hadfield does the rest. His second touch, his first being the throw into the line. And a man who quite simply has a taste for tries helps himself to another in Wolfpack colours.
Well, when you're coming on for a player that has quite frankly shown everything that you could want to show in a game of rugby in Jamie George, James Hadfield, really patient at the back of the maul, popped his head up to see exactly where he was joined by Tompkins and Shegan. Clearly from a back's point of view, that made all of the difference. And then just choosing his moment in time to peel off the side, Hadfield.
There's the wronged man behind that Newcastle player somewhere, Jamie George. All the tricks but no tries, and another kick to die for from Owen Farrell. Saracens on the brink of a half-century.
Bracken almost took the ball out of that ball. Be happy he didn't. Hadfield coming up with a 5-pointer.
The score, Saracens 47.
No Theo Dan, by the way, today. A grumbly knee to quote directly the information I was given. Ben Earl as well, by the way. He's took a head knock last week, and with the short turnaround, Shegan, he's not going to do it again, is he? Shegan v Wade, the race that everybody's come to see, but the touchline beats them all.
Don't worry about the kick, just watch these two go toe-to-toe. That is unreal. You never get that much one-on-one in rugby, and look at this. I'm quicker than you.
On the
Proper playground sprinting.
Just here, lads, on the end of the back.
Replacements for Newcastle.
Two of the quickest in the game going at it, and I tell you what, for 35-year-old Christian Wade, yes, you win.
Well, Shegan's got the tries, and Saracens will have the match, but maybe the sprinters' bragging rights belong to the veteran.
You know when you can fast forward podcasts on 1.5 speed? Ridiculous. Not even out of breath.
Leaving the field, number 11, Timmy Shegan. Replaced by number 22, Fergus Burr.
Benitez Cruz. What can Newcastle gain from this match? 3 minutes in, they were flying, but they've lost their wings as Saracens have suffocated them. Hadfield, more direct than his predecessor. Lazowski, Caluori, sniffing, Grayson with nowhere to go.
We talked about Lazowski. That is class from the outside centre. He's threaded the ball through, but he's made sure it's not gone into touch and that Ethan Grayson has to play the ball. Really intelligent kick from Saracens outside centre. When you get a ball player in those outside channels, they get slightly more time on the ball, an ability to make better decisions. Just threads the ball through, and look how it just sits up. Ethan Grayson doesn't have anything to do apart from walk the ball into touch. Great play.
Replacement for Newcastle Red Bulls, leaving the field
another forgotten England man,
replaced by number 18,
off the bench. All starts this season until that famous victory against Toulouse, and he rises from the pine again. Sammy Arnold, options and legs cut off. Well, the hunger of the Saracens' defence is undiminished, and Oscar Usher's gone down in the background there with no one near him. Those are the injuries that worry you.
Okay.
He just rolled his ankle.
Mark's here, guys. Let's go. 10. Brett, let's go. We can stop if we need to. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's go. We'll stop at the line.
Just while Oscar Usher receives some treatment there, these youthful players, Newcastle have lost so many of them over the years. The likes of Guy Pepper, you can throw his brother Max in there. Callum Chick has obviously departed to Northampton. This new lease of life that the Red Bulls have got, this is so important for these young players that they're going to keep them. They're incentivised to stay. The likes of Leather Barrow, who's signed on for a couple more years. Usher, you've got Finn Baker on the bench as well at Durham University. And this is a huge catchment area, and I know that John Fletcher as well is looking to dip into those universities a little bit more and make it the option for all these young talented lads.
Well, there's one thing about the Northeast, they buy into their homegrown talent and they support them and they get right in behind them, and I think Newcastle over the years have always developed younger players that have gone on to senior level, and I think they've got an ability to do that. Look at Josh Hodge, who's gone away to Exeter. He's coming back next season. That's a brilliant signing for Newcastle. It'll be really interesting to see how they mix the blend of experienced talent like Tom Christie with those younger players as they move forward.
Obatoyimbo has had a tough return to the Stonex. Yellow card and a face full of fen from Noah Caluori. Arnold, lovely hands under so much pressure. Grayson with Wade. Grayson sells. Benitez Cruz. And that rather sums up Newcastle's afternoon after minute 3. Obatoyimbo, he's a risk taker if he allows that ball to bounce on this turf that just seems destined to bounce the ball into Saracens' hands. This time, it's in that of the Bulls. Lockwood. He's had a good game. Christie. Pearl sizes up Farrell, but shows real grace in sidestepping him. Lazowski is asked to chase after Tompkins' kick, which is going to find touch. Nestled rather nicely deep into Red Bulls territory.
It's another good centre that Saracens have at their disposal. Really intelligent player, multiple caps for Wales.
Time off, subs.
Overlooked for the squad though.
Number 9.
Interesting time. They could probably do with someone like Nick Tompkins in their squad, but deciding to move on.
Hold on.
James Elliott has come on for Simon Benitez Cruz, by the way.
Replaced by number 21, Jamie Elliott.
Okay, time up.
Well, we saw this movie only minutes ago, and the sequel looks like it's going to end in similar fashion. Well, Hadfield pulls up short. So Saracens will have to go the long way round. The brutal way round. I mean, it's anyone's where that ball is and who has hands.
If the ball's available, it's playable, and then it becomes unplayable as a result of players off their feet. Because the ball gets to 4, gets placed back, and then multiple players come off their feet after the ball's available. The ball gets to net, and then players are allowed on to it.
Malin's tucked in behind the scrum.
Bind!
They will follow Willis if he picks up from the base of the set piece.
Keep the height, keep the height.
Off goes Willis, looking to run through as many Red Bulls as he can. Ball squirts free. Now the turn of the replacement Wilson. Newcastle's back feet defending has been imperious, but you ain't stopping a Fijian that size from that close. Eroni Maui brings up the half-century.
It's really direct play from Saracens. They've mixed it up, they've gone to the width, but they've played in tight, and they've had equal success from both types of playing. Again, it's Willis. It's a good tackle from Conan, to be fair. Sticks his head right in the bike spokes. And then really, it's head down, slightly sloppy as the ball spurted out before, and then Maui just picked it up and trundled it forward.
Number 10, Owen Farrell. Owen is sponsored by Nigel and Cindy Gilman.
Farrell filling his boots from the team.
Sorry.
The score, Saracens 54.
Eroni Maui,
Newcastle Red Bulls 7.
the try scorer, and Saracens just thinking about how many points they might be able to score. And let's talk about these two, Tom. They've coached hand in hand across Mark McCall's tenure. Brendan Fenter over in South Africa, but coming back to visit regularly. What do you think Brendan Fenter might bring, and well, can he improve on a performance like this?
Well, I think the energy that it takes to make sure and ensure that that
is ugly. Farrell is injured in the backfield. Well, it's only going to be a penalty. Farrell stretching it off. And I think it was Ruben Parsons who's actually on his Prem debut.
20, I think.
20, he needs to be really careful.
he's gone after one of the biggest names in the game on his debut.
Where the ball lands.
Well, he got a yellow card against Dragons last week, so he's looking to go back-to-back cross-competition.
Just going back to that point, I think the energy that it takes to keep up that level of standard within this club, which prides itself on daily standards, it's been quite clear, and I think almost Mark McCall said it. It just didn't quite come out with I haven't got the energy that I used to have. But certainly Brendan Venter will come in and breathe a new level of freshness and energy into this squad.
Malin's arriving like a thunderbolt. The replacements making ways. Nathan Mitchello, the man with no number, but with a name almost on the score sheet. Instead, it's another replacement. It's another for James Hadfield.
Well, I tell you what, he might not have the all-court game that Jamie George had in the first 50 minutes, but he's got 2 tries, and he'll go back in and shake his teammates' hand and say, you might have all the skills, but I got the tries. Saracens just bludgeoning their way upfield. It's relentless. Look at that. teammates driving ball carriers forward, and then
And the conversion scored by number 10, Owen
It's all good, Jay.
Farrell.
Hadfield rolling, wriggling his way to the touchline, to the try line, sorry.
By Nigel and Cindy Goodman.
Owen Farrell's got his teammates to thanks for a massive haul here. Hadfield, really interesting journey. He was third choice when he was at the University of Bath playing Buck Super Rugby. Went to Richmond, who was semi-pro in the Champ. Played so well he got picked up by Jersey. Then arrived at Saracens, and here helping himself to a haul of tries once more. And, well, with the impending departure of Jamie George, there's potentially a big future for him to be vying with Theo Dan for the top spot, number 2 jersey.
23, Ollie Spencer.
One thing about Saracens hookers that stands out when you think about the players that have filled that jersey, they're busy. And Hadfield certainly fits that description.
Well, Arnold hasn't had much to work with, but he's gone hard at it every time. It's a good tackle to pick up Wade, who was coming out of a blind spot. Some confusion in amongst the forward and back ranks, and Ollie Fletcher thrashes on through. Arnold, bereft of options outside, shows determination to brush through Juan Martin Gonzalez and then beaten.
No. Thank you.
They may be down, but it's never say die from Newcastle. Defensive reads from Saracens are snuffing out any hope of getting outside, and Lazowski, the latest to pick the right man, and then the turnover, Kings arriving.
Similar shapes that Saracens are running to Newcastle, but Newcastle just don't have quite the numbers or the options off those shapes to really threaten that Saracens defence, which means they're able to look after it pretty easily at times. And of course, there are good reads like that. That's a brilliant tackle from Alex Lazowski, and actually a good footwork from Hurl in the meantime, just spin his way out of trouble.
Time off, number 12.
No team turnover more than Saracens. They've got the most jackals as well, and dare we say that James Hadfield has been kicked to position A for a hat-trick here. A wedge formed by the Newcastle Red Bulls sees the Saracens pack halted. They have to break. Caluori hardly said his name in the second half. Onyama Christie been in absolutely everything.
Hands away!
Some patience, some composure, some more on Onyama Christie. Newcastle have stood resolute from attacks from this range. They've been under siege at times, and again they have to steel themselves. More red and black menace coming their way, but
He rolls it forward on his hands.
Saracens knock on and they survive.
Comes off your foot.
They managed to swerve what was increasingly looking like the inevitable there.
Replacement for
Red Bulls.
Newcastle Red Bulls, leaving the field, number 12.
An individual
Sammy
error,
Arnold,
turning the
replaced
ball
by
over,
number
but
22, Cameron Hutchison.
It's the ability for Saracens to carry directly and make momentum that's really been incredibly difficult for Newcastle to manage this afternoon here at the Stone X.
And a replacement for
Ivan Van
Saracens,
Zyl
leaving the field, number 9, Charlie Bracken.
on for young Charlie Bracken for the final 11 minutes.
Ivan Van Zyl.
Trying November against Newcastle in the Prem Cup. Speaking of which, these two play each other next Friday night at Kingston Park in that competition, so they'll be very well acquainted with one another come the end of the season. Something that Alan Dickens spoke of actually this week, that they've got a tantalising visit from La Rochelle in the Challenge Cup to look forward to, but for a moment they were going to get Leicester Tigers, and it would have been the 5th time they played them this season, so they were grateful to get the double Champions Cup winners coming in, and no doubt drawing a massive Kingston Park crowd. Well, that's risky, that's a gift. Wade to the rescue, and Van Zyl managed across the touchline by Hurl.
It wasn't quite off the middle of the foot, was it, from Brett Conner? Right idea, and actually when you've got someone like Christian Wade prowling in those outside channels, why not throw the dice? I'm surprised they haven't done it sooner, to be honest. But
Today's attendance, we can confirm at Sterling Stadium.
A 21-year-old is replaced by another 21-year-old. The future is very bright in the second row for the Newcastle Red Bulls. Another shift for Oscar Usher to be proud of, and another blast for young Finn Baker.
Don't change from there, 16.
Well, here we go. Off goes Ollie Fletcher, looking for friends, but all he finds is Saracens around him. Connon rips it to Hurl. Grayson puts himself into the frame. Awkward ball for Van Zyl, Hurl arriving first. And Saracens, the ones to scoop it up. Somehow, Finn Baker has got that. Newcastle sensing a second, long after their first. Fletcher gets his legs taken away from him by Juan Martin Gonzalez. Not even Wade can get out of a spot that tight. The Puma galloping free. And again, the ball presenting itself, but we're back for an earlier infringement, and we're also back to a spot where Christian Wade looks in a bit of bother.
just got caught in that tackle, didn't he? Christian Wade didn't look the best for him. Just starting to get a bit of rhythm into their attack, but then ultimately amounting to nothing, which is a bit of a story of Newcastle's day, in that they have had opportunities, but making them stick and making them count has been increasingly difficult as the afternoon's gone on.
Agreed.
Just
Good
to put you
description, Joe.
on a bit of warning, by the way, Tom, you're going to have to select your Gallagher player of the match soon, so get your thinking cap on. And what about Alan Dickens? Do you play under him at Northampton?
I was with Alan at Northampton. He's a brilliant coach. Got a lot of understanding about how he wants to try and play the game, and he's really good at coaching sort of young up and coming talent, which is obviously there's a lot of at Newcastle. But he's calm, and he's not going to overreact in situations like this, where actually, you know, this is a horrible result to see on the score sheet, and you know, as they look back on it. But he'll look to try and take the positives from it and move forward. He knows there's a lot of reinforcements coming. He'll be looking forward to working with those as the time goes on.
Malin's moving late. Van Zyl waits for the penalty to be awarded. And I think, well, we're just trying to tot up the numbers out there, because Christian Wade's gone off, and it's a question as to whether they'd previously used all their replacements. So Newcastle might be finishing the game with 14, which is just as well, because they practiced 20 minutes of it already with 14 with those yellow cards.
Yeah, that was self-inflicted. Now that man going off has caused them even more problems. They are defending with 14.
Outside arc, Fergus Burke, snappy hands. Caluori just loves to score in bunches. Farrell, crossfield, seeking out Gonzalez. But for once this afternoon, the bounce isn't kind to Sarries.
I think there's a bit of wind in behind that kick from Owen Farrell.
Number 14, Christian Wade.
It's the right option, and Gonzalez is literally out out of field almost. Just need to go down a club or two from Owen Farrell.
Well, Juan Martin Gonzalez has been everywhere. A moment ago, he was chasing that crossfield, and there he is, hauling himself from the deck after taking that drop out. But in this instance, he surrenders possession to the Red Bulls.
Well, Newcastle actually in the first half played some of their better rugby with 14 men in terms of managing that scenario, so it didn't look too straight, but referees let them away with it.
Cam Hutchison, who had a short stint here, is figuring out what to do with no Red Bulls around, and a messy breakdown falls favourably to the men of the North. Hurl drifts it into the stride of Grayson, who gets hit hard and on the ball, crowbarred free. Then Joe James with an illegal act.
Yeah, it's gone forward by red, yeah.
And it's deemed to have been stripped forward. So, net, Newcastle scrum. Feels like a good time to broach that Gallagher player of the match, Tom.
Yeah, well, I think there's been 2 or 3 guys that have been in the mix. One of them sat on his backside. There he is, Jamie George. He had all the tricks. Actually, the bloke next to him didn't do too badly, did he, in terms of Tom Willis? Hadfield came on, nicked all the glory and got a couple of meat pies. But really, this man has been outstanding this afternoon. Noah Caluori, he's my Gallagher player of the match. Real exciting talent for the future.
Lockwood will leave North London with his head held high. Juan Martin Gonzalez is just unbelievable. Everywhere and everything. And Tompkins hits the Jets, rips through the Newcastle midfield, and the newly crowned Gallagher player of the match delivers a fabulous fourth and continues to write his own headlines.
Well, that's proper wheels. Not from him, from Nick Tompkins. He's made a scything line break, a brilliant turnover from Gonzalez on the near touchline, and then seeking the space, they go to the width. But look at the pace from Nick Tompkins, just drops the hammer, he's gone. I just wonder whether he's going to chuck one off his left hand, and then that kick is extraordinary, sits up brilliantly for Caluori. Sat out a few of the recent games as Nick Tompkins hasn't played as much as he has over the recent seasons, but that shows you just exactly what he can do.
Score, Saracens 66, Newcastle Red Bulls 7. And Stonex Stadium.
He's a class player. Not huge in stature in terms of that midfield and some of the monsters you can find knocking around in Gallagher PREM, but in terms of intelligence, niggly, really hard running centre. He's a great player.
Okay, up we go. Carnage over.
Final few minutes of a rough afternoon and a reality check for the Newcastle Red Bulls. Lozowski grubbers it through, has Malins for company. Burke pouring through, Gonzalez on the scene. And Caluori with his arm up wide right. The Puma with another meaningful intervention. Huge men piling up. Farrell.
Look out.
Caluori claims it, won't score it.
Advantage, goal offside.
But everyone wanted it.
offside in midfield.
Well, it's a horrible position for Newcastle to be in, because you're waiting for that ball to come down. Caluori can buy himself space, can come onto the ball.
Well, Hadfield selflessly gives the ball to Nick Tompkins, a bit of hat-trick avoidance from the replacement hooker, but a man very worthy of his name on the score sheet, Nick Tompkins, and Sarries flying at full mast.
There could have been several players really that
all good.
got a mention when it came to player of the match. Nick Tompkins has been brilliant this afternoon. It's a good tap, but as you say, very selfless pass to Nick Tompkins as Farrell takes the extra 2. It's got pretty ugly pretty quickly for Newcastle. Just haven't managed to maintain any sort of possession, apply pressure to Saracens.
Newcastle Red Bulls.
And it's turned into a really rough afternoon in North London.
Final act of a day of pain down in the capital for Newcastle. Lost forward and a scrum to close out the match.
Stick with a knock-on.
I think, Tom, we've spoken plenty about sort of Newcastle and the journey that they're going on. Saracens, been a strange season. Sometimes they're irresistible, sometimes they're forlorn, like at Scotstoun. What do you make of them?
Well, that's just not Saracens, right? Like, it's across Gallagher PREM. It's such a strong competition. But it means that every week, no matter whether you're playing in Europe or the Prem, you have to be on point. And if you're not, whether that be physically or mentally, it can create a chasm in your game. All of these teams can massively knock chunks off each other, and I think Saracens, this may well breathe a huge amount of confidence and momentum into the back end of their season.
Christie embroiled in the arms of the Saracens pack. Joe James referees that one empathetically. And off go the Red Bulls, almost breaking three. Brocklebank. Connon looking to have the final say, looking for a crumb of comfort to take back up the M1. Lifted out the back. Good meters made, but Saracens poachers looking to pilfer Gonzalez.
You called him there. You called him.
And 80 minutes and more from the Argentinian. Connon looking to unlock. Baker just pops the ball up and now it might break. Grayson fizzes it across the face. Still no way through for Newcastle. Saracens will not surrender their line without a fight. Baker, good meters from the young replacement lock. Now the turn of De Bruyne. Again, knocking on the door of the 22. Numbers here in yellow, but a handful of Jersey Holt's hurl. Soft hands. A debut try on Prem debut. A nice moment for Ruben Parsons, but sheer consolation for a battered Red Bulls.
Just a sign that Newcastle can pull together some decent phases. Obviously got Stephen Jones in their ranks now, working hard on their attacking shapes. And I think that's an area that they'll look to try and build on it. They'll be excited for what's to come, but they've got a huge amount of this season. And some important games. You mentioned that game up at Kingston Park against La Rochelle. How they would love to topple a French team with the stature of Stade Rochelet.
The conversion added, but the day done long ago for the Newcastle Red Bulls.